Get ready. Hold tight. It's
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want go!
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. We've got loads to get through with protests, more statements than wins at home in 2025, and we've got an upbeat Ash as well, who's in an absolute banging mood, and I don't know what to do with it. Tonight, joining me, I've got John, Stevie, and as I said before, the Eggmeister General, the Ashmaster himself. Good evening and welcome. If you are watching us live, don't say F4B. And if you do want to get involved, don't forget to get your comments in through whatever medium you're watching. We have an absolute universe of things to get through tonight, as you can probably imagine. But first, we've got to get it out of the way. Let's talk about Oxford United. I tell you what, let's just jump straight into it. Stevie, thoughts before the game, given our home form and all the rest of it? It weren't going to be a walk in the park, were it?
No, I don't think it was. And I put in our predictions that I thought we'd get a point. I genuinely thought we'd get a point because I didn't think we'd keep losing. I didn't think the rot would sort of sink in as deep as it transpires that it has. And I was feeling it was a sort of an ideal opportunity to get something back, get some points on the board. I wasn't necessarily thinking we were going to get, we were going to steamroller them, as I've heard some people saying. They're a different kettle of fish under Gary Rowett, aren't they? And they're battling for their lives, whereas we seem to be on that sort of downward trajectory, if you like, at the moment. Where we're trying to stop the rot. But I was cautiously optimistic that we'd at least get something out of the game. And I think from my own point of view, I put a comment out the week previously. We don't seem to have two good halves of football at the moment, irrespective of the results. If we play poorly first half, we play better second, and vice versa. So I was kind of curious, having missed the last couple of games, to see where how we'd set up and what it was going to be like.
It's I agree. I think it's been a problem that we've had all season in terms of not playing two good halves of football. Which is a really odd thing to say. John, you're on mute. Bless you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Now, for those of you that don't know, when it gets to about 10 minutes to about 8 o'clock, I'm at stress levels only known by fighter pilots, and John jumps on 20 seconds before we go live, and it does me every week. John, this is the lineup for the game against Oxford, with Charles in goal once again, Valerie Ihekwe for Maywo Johnson, Charles in the middle of the park, Armstrong, Masaba, Gassama, Windass and Patterson. A few changes there, I thought. Like, I didn't think Patterson would stay in. I thought, nice to see Masaba get a start, and obviously Pierce Charles back in the sticks. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I understand the comment with Patterson there, and we also saw McNeil come onto the bench, didn't we? So a bit of benchitis going on there with McNeil back in the fray. Danny did say sort of pre-match, didn't he, that there might be one or two surprises. So there were one or two, but Patterson arguably is fortunate to keep his starting position there, isn't he? Given that Smith usually become the 60-minute man, hasn't he? Play Smith for 60 minutes, or and then he usually goes off, doesn't he? But and Patterson's not been able to have that same kind of effect. Did get that goal a few games back, but runs around a lot and puts himself about. But yeah, it was. I was a little bit surprised to see that the starting lineup, as it were, there. And obviously now with this now it's just normal now seeing Pierce Charles in goal as well, isn't it? And we've not really, not that we need to be given information, but is it just he fancies him over Beadle, or is Beadle still carrying a knot? What? There's no sort of reasoning why that's happened. I don't see that it's just down to form. Could there be something around, like, if Beadle plays X amount of games, we have to pay more on the loan or something? You never know with these things, especially where Wednesday is concerned, when we've got players on contracts, especially like we saw with Shea Charles. We had to effectively loan him twice, didn't we? So just a bit of a question mark with me why Beadle's just being frozen out like that. But fair play to Pierce Charles because he had a good game, didn't he, against Oxford?
I think it might just be, sorry, Dan, I think it might just be purely that we've got to that 50-odd points and mathematically we still could get playoffs, but it's very highly unlikely.
We can also still get relegated, can't we?
We can. Yeah, we can. But I think it is that he's our own player. Even though I did see something the other day that his contract runs out in the summer as well. Pierce Charles, which I don't think is right, is it? I'm sure he signed a long-term one. But it's probably just progressing him, giving him minutes because he hasn't had any, has he? Really, only in the cups. So giving him proper first-team football to get him probably up to speed or a good start for pre-season next year.
Yeah, bedding him in type of vibe. I think it might be the phrase there. Now, no Jamal Lowe. But you're right as well, John. We don't really get these questions, do we? Like, you know, and given the way that it's gone with the club and the back of house chats that we've had, you never really know. But you kind of go, because of all these things that you feel like are being carried in a cloak and dagger kind of manner, you're like, well, what's going on there? I demand to know an answer. Whereas usually I'd be like, is what it is. Gaffer's made a choice, you know what I mean? But it kind of layers on top a little bit, doesn't it? I tell you what, then let's get into the game, Ash. So to start with, I mean, this game was trash. Don't get me wrong. This was an awful game of football, and I felt like it was punishment for me because I was at work on Saturday. It was punishment for me to have to watch that back in order to record this. I've got better things to do with me Sunday night than sit and watch that nonsense. But Musaba got a start. Musaba was the first opportunity we got at the back beans.
Dan, yeah. So you just said that how positive I was coming onto this show, and
did I ruin it already?
And then you've ruined it. And I know Monday night is the review show, and we have to talk about obviously what's happened on the Saturday or the Friday night or so whatever the pre-match, the match before. But I mean, you just kicked all the life out of me. It was we have. I'm joking, but it is quite serious, though, isn't it? Because what you said in your opening monologue about 2 halves of football, my memory's shocking for various reasons. I can't actually remember how many games we've played this season. We've had 2 really good halves. No. We've either gone, and I've said it to the lad I go with, the first 15, 20 minutes of some games being absolute sublime. Football we've played, being on top, possession, even having shots, but just not scoring. And then the inevitable happens. That happens so many times. But this game, I think the first half was probably one of the worst I've seen for a while. And then until about 4 o'clock, and then the second half happened. So for me, yeah, it was poor. I had a slight inkling that he may change the team around a little bit. I just thought there were rumours. He did say in his press conference there were 6 or 7 players out, but he didn't name names. And obviously it come out that Bannon was one of them. Jamal Lowe, not making the bench. Ugbo made the bench. Smith obviously out. It's just a poor game, isn't it? Yeah. And I was happy. I was happy Musaba had got a start because I don't think he's had that many minutes for injury or just not being in favour. But I'm glad he started, and I thought he did look pretty bright.
He did. He looked brighter than the times he's played before. But Stevie, you're biting your lip in a wind stare. He did get the next opportunity as well, where he blazed one wide.
Yeah. There's not a great deal to look at if you go back and look at the highlights, and we've all got our own ways of prepping. So you'll go to the right if it's only 2 minutes, and Wednesday do it when they put it on the YouTube. You've got 2 minutes of review, and it was literally that. There's 3 chances, 2 of them Musaba's and their goal, isn't they? That we were looking at, but the chance that he missed before the one that he's flashed wide, I thought it was quite unlucky. To be honest with you, I know people are going to slate me. I think it's come at him quick. I know it looks like he's made a bit of a mess of it, but I thought it was actually more challenging than it appeared. It was just the proximity that he was towards a goal. But it was quite a difficult technique, and there were people around me at the time sort of arguing that he should have gone with his right foot. I don't think he's done anything wrong necessarily. He's just not set himself right. Some balls come across so quick and it's gone through traffic. But the one just after that, where he's progressed up the field a little bit, hasn't he? Sort of 10, 15 yards with the ball, run through a couple of players, and then just flashed one wide. I thought that was quite unlucky. And at that point, I was thinking, you know what? He's done that a couple of times tonight, this afternoon. And I think he was first half, certainly the main threat. If we were going to look like we were going to get something going forwards, it seemed to be Masaba rather than, as has been, and I know we've documented it a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, the sort of fall off in Gassama's for whatever reason that may be. While people are sort of looking to him at the moment, it was refreshing, as we've just said, to see Masaba come in and get some minutes and look like the player that he looked like when he was doing so well at times last season. That second chance, he was just unlucky. Another 2 feet to the left, and it probably nestles in the bottom corner, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it'd have been a different game if that first one would have bagged. If I'm honest, Ash, let's get into some comments. I'm going to smash through this game because it wasn't an absolute barnstormer. But what are the mans saying?
Yeah, right. So we've got everyone. Matt saying, I'm assuming he means Ash, not ah. So Ash looks ecstatic. I was until we started talking about football, but I am really inside. It's just a mask. I'm all good. The club's been on SWFC. At least there's more than one club in Sheffield losing to clubs at the bottom. Well, yeah. And Mads Ward's been on. Let's not talk about Oxford City. Obviously, making light of the thing that come on social media a couple of weeks ago, where the club sent the away tickets to Oxford City instead of Oxford United.
Mate, I did the Oxford United prequel to this game earlier on this week, and that the term Oxford City lives rent free in my brain. And every time I say Oxford, I really have to think about saying Oxford United because of these bloody tickets. I didn't even know Oxford City existed as a club up until 2025.
It's like when I found out about Swindon Supermarine, I'm like, that's not a club, that is it? Somebody's having a laugh there. It actually exists. They've got another team.
Yeah. I bet you thought TNS was like an STD or something as well, John, didn't you?
The irony of you doing a John style joke there, Ash, at John, it wasn't wasted on me there. I enjoyed that.
I've seen our WhatsApp chat. I know what it's all about. Stu's been on about your query about Pierce Charles. He think he agrees with me. Reason is to invest time in our own player. Our season is done. So we don't reckon we'll get playoffs. So
the second half of this season has been utter trash. There lots of players have dropped off. I mean, we've spoken about Shea Charles and we spoke about Gassama dropping off, but Joe Cran put a really interesting statistic out about how many points we've dropped or how many points we've not won or about since the perceived fallout between Channers and Danny Roll at the end of December in reference to the move to Southampton, which was a really interesting start. And if you get to take a look at that, it's I wish I had it lined up now. I've referenced it.
Was it 5 wins in 19 or something like that?
Sweet child of mine. That's what it is. Yeah, 5 wins in 19.
I have got another interesting couple of stats for you, though, fellas. And
I'm down.
come on,
having a look.
John.
So. Yeah, a bit late, but I did do a bit of homework, so pulled it back somewhat.
We'll forgive you.
So we've got the 4th worst goals conceded record in the league, but we've also got our goals scored for is comparable with 5 of the top 6. Only Leeds who've got like 80 goals and have been thrashing teams. So we score as well as the top 6, but we concede as bad as the bottom 4.
I'd love to see that in recent statistics. I feel like that's a season-long stat, John. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Season-long stat, yeah. But yeah, it's because there's all this like, and I witnessed it on Saturday as well. There's all this perception that we don't create we don't take many chances, and but you look at it on Saturday as well. we do a lot of overplaying as well. Lots of overplaying of the ball where you're just thinking, just put that ball in there, just cross it. No, what are you checking back for? Just take a shot. Why has he not took a shot? You know what I mean? It's like lots of overplaying, and then obviously the weakness, the Achilles heel all season is the set pieces, and conceding from set pieces has been an absolute joke.
I'll never forget what you said, John. What was it you said? That set piece coach is stealing a living, I think you said.
He's got to be, hasn't he? I mean, he'll never get. His CV's ruined after being with us, isn't he? He'll never get another job again.
Yeah, you're right. Now, there was a save from Pierce Charles. Svanti plays one over, and then Shea Charles put one over. And then let's get to their goal, John. Stevie, sorry. The big long throw from Will Volks. We've seen that. I even spoke about it with their fan in the midweek. Flick on and back beans on toast. And as John says, what's this? What's this set piece coach doing?
It was frustrating because it was coming, weren't it? And we kept defending. And as a very quick aside, I know we're not going to talk long about Pierce Charles tonight because we've done him. We've talked about him a lot over the last few weeks, haven't we? I wonder if there's a plan, because Blackburn did it, and I think to an extent Hull did it. And I don't know what we can put two and two together and surmise where we are in terms of what people's strategies are. But all of a sudden, everybody is in that 6-yard box and everybody is crowding our goalkeeper. He got booked against Blackburn last week for pushing and shoving when there were similar sorts of situations. And there were 5 or 6 occasions in the preceding sort of 10 minutes or so before we conceded where people were on his toes, giving him a shove, trying to get between him and Shea. There were people in and around, and it was almost like they were trying to put him off. I don't know if that's because of his age, his size, whatever it may be, but there's a clear strategy now that we're going to have to do some adjusting with in terms of our set pieces and the way that our coaches are working, because if we're going to play Pierce Charles for the rest of the season, we're going to have to get used to the fact that people are going to start crowding. And I think that's what happened the other night. If I'm honest with you, I think people have looked at it and gone, right, let's get in and around him. You know what an asset Will Volks' throwing is. We can talk about Marv on the back stick. We can talk about the fact that for Maywell, as good as he was, and for me personally, I thought he was our man of the match on Saturday. It's his head that it comes off. There's a little bit of a shove if you look at it just before that, or you question whether or not Pato's knocked into the back of Maywell, and that's the reason why it's flicked off and gone backwards. But as soon as it's gone to that back stick, there's just a hunger and a desire from the Oxford player, Long, I think it was, to get there before our defender. And for all his naysayers and what have you, Marv was playing left back. He was our defender, and at the end of the day, when push came to shove, he got pushed and he got shoved, and their fella stuck it in the back the top corner, didn't he? So that's where we were.
I think the grief that Marvin Johnson's had online, and then him searching his own name, or it probably pop up on his timeline, to be fair, of people talking about him, has been a difficult read. We're a few years away now from maybe, about 18 months, I think it is, maybe 2 years away from him getting talked about moving to Ipswich to go and play Premier League football, to all of a sudden being maligned online. And he was at one point our highest assists in the stats.
You could almost say saviour last season, weren't he? Because he was frozen out, weren't he, at the start? He was living it up in Dubai, training on his own, for whatever reason, through Cisco. And then he came back, didn't he? Yeah, and then he came back, and he was a different player. He was, and 12, not even 12 months, is it, I suppose, on, it's, he's run out of gas, hasn't he? He just looks, you look at him, though, he's just, and you can say this for lots of footballers, and obviously I'm a picture of sporting excellence. You've all seen me, like, of course, so I can say, but he just doesn't look interested, and I'm sure it's not that, but the eyes, you judge on the eyes, and we always go, we're voting for our man of matches and stuff, don't you? And people love stats, and it's the eye test, and there's been far too many times in the last 10, 12 games when you're looking at Marv, it doesn't pass the eye test. And the stats might back up that, or they're not. They might contradict him and say, look, no, he's actually doing X, Y, Z. But for me, if you're looking at him, it looks disinterested. He looks lazy. And it is, but
I think-
I'm sure he's not. And it's hard to say that as a football.
It looks like a
I say,
geezer under pressure for something.
Yes,
and
maybe,
I
yeah.
feel like that's what it is. Feels got the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Go on, Stephen.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Because if you go back those 10, 12 games when he was playing previously, you go back last season, we were playing 3 at the back and he was stuck out at left wing back.
Yeah.
So I think there's potentially an argument that Marvin Johnson is a better player playing left wing back when you've got Firmino or whoever was playing left side of a back 3 covering him, and you've got those players in the middle of the park that can support him.
I agree.
I think if we play 3 at the back or 5 as you want to call it, and he's pushing on and getting forwards, he's a very different player. So, you know, whilst we're talking about his eyes and he's looking lost, he's looking fed up, or whatever you want to call it, it happens and it shouldn't happen. But the reality is there are players nowadays that if they don't want to play in a certain position, they're not happy playing in that position, they get the face on. And it may very well be that he just doesn't want to play left back. Unfortunately, with the injuries and everything else we've got, he's a better wing back than he is a full back. But at the moment, our hands are tied.
Yeah, and we're not playing that position, are we? So let's get some statistics up. So we absolutely battered them on possession with 63%, but we got 15 shots to their 13. They had more shots on target, so we're knocking them bandy. Goalkeeper made 3 saves. Fouls they made more of, but Ash just put graphic on the screen, so I can't read. Cheers, Ash. So fouls, we did 6 to their 12. They made twice as many fouls, and corners 5 to 4. Now the statistics on the other side of it, the advanced match stats, tell a bit of a different story. As a lot of ours were blocked, we had a few more attempts outside of the box, which is something that I kind of like to see. I'm glad we're giving it a go, but they're getting blocked. So, but only 1 offside each. So, as it stands, ladies and gents, football is dead. Exciting football is dead. It's all play from the back, tick-a-tacker. I'm afraid the days of David Hirsch shit kicking his way through defenders, all gone. If you watch a high-end Premier League game now, it ain't a good watch, lads. It's not a good watch. I'm going to start watching Eastleigh FC again.
Dan, it was frustrating to see though, because what John was saying earlier about that passing it along the 18-yard box, no one taking a shot, and then when we did have the couple of shots, I know Ingleson blazed one high, wide, and handsome from like inside the box. I think he was, weren't it?
Yeah.
And Gassama had one that curled. I think we were about 5 yards past the far post. They do want to seem to pass it into the box and get those touches in the box for some reason. And it's just, and a time and time again that Gassama and Masaba are both, and I thought they'd got rid of this, but turning and beating the defender and then putting him back over, beating the defender again, or not putting a cross in. And it's just frustrating that you sat there and you're wanting it. And yes, I know we haven't got Smith in the middle, who's the big target man in there, but you've still got people in there at a good height that can score. And it's just frustrating as hell that we go down 1-0 at home. And it was even worse after they scored, weren't it? It was. Mate, I'm gutted.
Do you know what I've noticed? Do you know what I've noticed this year on this podcast, right? You know, if we absolutely batter somebody, to try and get some talking points because we just played well, it's dead hard and it lasts about 15 minutes. We're 25 in already and we've lost 1-0 at home to Oxford. And we're like, yeah, that's shit, and that's shit and all, and that can get in the bin. That's done.
No. Yeah, it's easy to come on here and we've got all the opinions that we do throw at people and just sit there and say he was crap, he was shit, he was this, he was that. I promise I am in a good mood. But it was though, weren't it? And I'm sure the players went in. Well, they didn't because they had day off, I think, today. But if they went in yesterday, I'm sure they went in and they had to have a look at themselves. And I'm hopefully Danny, regardless of whatever his position is going to be, after a month or two, that he gave them a right rollicking. I hope he gave them a rollicking.
Yeah,
I don't think he did. I mean, anymore. I think he's checked out. Go on, John.
Sorry, mate. To be fair, they did look checked out, didn't they? Let's be honest about it. They looked checked out, and whether it's because of not being feeling like they're too far behind to make the playoffs, thinking about the summer holidays, or if it's a knock-on effect of the recent troubles and not getting paid, the wages being paid, whatever it was, that game was as flat as a pancake, and the players looked checked out. I said to Holly, I've said it to you guys, I think as well. We used to have the Hutch bingo, but now it's the Marv bingo. Is he going to run, or is he just going to hit it? Because sometimes he just can't be asked to run, can I? So he just hits it, a massive overhit cross, and there's nobody there, and you're just like,
you're describing my Sunday league career there, Johnny.
Marv, come on, But yeah, they really did look checked out, and it was just an awfully flat, boring, meaningless game winning. I mean, Oxford are fighting for their lives, and they were rubbish though, weren't they? Let's be right. If we'd put half a performance in, we would have beat them, but we just didn't have it, did we? We just weren't interested.
I agree. Okay, so Stevie, just before we move on from Oxford, you bashed these stats together, and one of them being the form guide from the last 10 games. If you are scared, turn away now.
Oh.
It's not the best graphic in the world, is it? But I think people can see that. For the benefits of audio, what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe the current standings. Burnley are absolutely flying. Excuse me. And you can look through the playoff positions, and I know it's the last 10 games. You can go through mid-table. 14th, you've got West Brom sitting there, and I'm still scrolling. And they're just in 23rd position is the mighty Sheffield Wednesday. On less than a point per game over the last 10. We've played 2, drawn 2, and lost 6. In those 10 games, we're scoring 11 goals and conceding 16 with a goal difference of -5. There's a bigger question, bigger conversation to be had, and it's probably not one for tonight. But if you want to have a look at the fall off, and without getting into the politics of why it's happened, and I'll say it, we were a lot closer than I think people gave us credit for to getting into the playoffs. The last 10 games have absolutely killed us.
Yes, it's been absolutely, it has absolutely crippled our season. Let me get that down. Ash, let's get into some comments before I chuck some adverts up.
I'm sad now.
Oh, I've bummed you out.
Yeah, you've killed me, Stevie. Cheers.
Ruined it.
Yeah, it's Craig Haywood. They were checked out. They were collecting their boarding passes as they went down the tunnel. I just go back a couple because I don't think we put it up. Owain? Is it Owain? Owen. We could always play the actual left back we own instead of forcing Marv to be something he's not. Going back to the point that you made, Dan, Stevie, sorry, about obviously looking like Marvin Johnson last season, probably playing in his preferred position. Yeah. And then Mad Ward's gone on, oh my FG, that's a crap table.
Get it off the screen. And that's what ruined Ash's mood. But listen, let's try and take a deep breath. Let's try and bask in the warmth of capitalism.
Brace yourself. Some people are gonna try and sell you some things.
Now, before the game started, we had a huge chat online. Go on, Stevie.
You've just played the advert break, and the viewership's gone up by about 5.
Yeah. People love capitalism. We all pay money. We all pay money to Chancery. We know how capitalism works.
And they've just dropped off when we start talking.
So there was a number of people chatting online about turning their back to the game at the 10th minute. So on the 11th minute, we turned our back to the game. The people at Hillsborough as the clock struck 10 past, and there was a protest. Before that, 4 hours before kickoff, there was a statement from the chairman as well. We'll talk about the protest later on, but I want to get more into this statement. So I've prepped up a few infographics. So the first statement came from Chancery himself. Like I said, this is 11 o'clock in the morning, just before we played this game. And I've took some snippets out just to take a look at some of the bits, because there's a lot of, oh, woe is me, and you're all being nasty to me and stop it online. But there's a few bits that stuck out to me.
Do it, Daniel. Do it, man. Do it.
All right. Do you want me to do it? I ask to keep an open mind regarding the truth. Do not rely on unfounded speculation or rhetoric that some people may create. Yes, that is true, and the players were paid late. I'm truly sorry for that. All back office staff were paid other than 10 senior people who were partly paid, and this was resolved at the earliest possible time. There's a lot of speculation regarding the coach, our relationship, and the future. Again, I ask you to keep an open mind and repeat anything that I do is in the best interest of Sheffield Wednesday. Interesting points there is, I felt, and I don't know if you're the same as me, John, I felt that he didn't see that as a big issue, not paying the players. It's like, they're already on loads of money. Don't worry about it. They'll get it at the end of the day. You know what I mean? What it don't matter, does it?
Well, I mean, the most damning sentence he came out with in recent times was, "I don't know what I'm doing wrong." I'm like, what? You don't know what you're doing wrong, man? Come on. Do you want me to write a list? So, I mean, he's a multimillionaire. He can wait for checks to clear. He can wait until cash flow becomes, cash flow again. But these people, I mean, even besides the players, there's the people that work for Sheffield Wednesday, isn't there? Like from groundsman to a receptionist, tea lady, whatever. They can't go without wages, can they? It's a big deal for them if they've got mortgage payments and other bills and stuff. It's a huge deal to them. So he just doesn't live in the real world, does he? He just doesn't seem. And the one good thing that he did was he actually got an interpreter before that statement, because I think a lot of stuff that comes out in his mouth is lost in translation, and really, like, people are jaw-dropping, like, at some stuff that he comes out with. So that's one positive. I think he should always do that in future. Make sure to get an interpreter so that anything that comes across is not lost in translation. But yeah, you can't. When he says you don't know what he's done wrong, it's just like, come on, let people help you. But there's people out there. There's always been people out there that could have come on board and helped him, but he just doesn't seem to want to do that. And it's just one gaff after another, isn't it? And that statement is not filled me with any like.
It read like Chat GPT, didn't it? It read like he's got AI to read it, or he's done it, and Microsoft Word 1995 has gone. Hang on, the grammar might not be right there. That paperclip's popped up, and it's kind of paraphrased a few of his sentences for him. But Stevie, let's get into the second one, because I'm interested in your thoughts on this one. He said, "I'm happy to leave Sheffield Wednesday is left in a better place. It is not just about price; it's about the right individual or group to take the club forward. And if someone full stop before and there. And if someone wants to come forward, I can assure you that I'm happy to listen and talk, or whatever he says, like, you know what I mean? But we have all seen speculation and stories that a consortium or individual is ready to come in and take over. But I can guarantee that there have been no offers at all. There has been some interest, but nothing substantial that has been followed through. With any sale, it must be done in the correct way, not through one of my people asking for a bank statement, which again is not true, but through lawyers, proof of funds, and tangible offer." That second half, I don't disagree with. Now, there was there's 1867 News Simon that went on the Wednesday Till I Die podcast and spoke quite a lot, and he has done online quite a lot about getting a consortium together and getting people together, and he wants to be a middleman in there. Personally speaking, I think he's trying to engineer himself a place on the board and or even chairman. But you know what I mean. But what we've got is a guy there trying to put these bits together. But I do you feel, because I'm going to double down here with an article, because Simon then went on to speak to Joe Cram, and Joe went, "Wednesday, you're going through a turbulent time at the moment with protests taking place at the ownership day on Chansiri." And calls from the Sheffield Wednesday supporters trust him to do the honourable thing and step aside. For that to happen, there would have to be a proper alternative on the table. And while Chansiri said recently there have been no offers at all, this publication is aware of three groups who are mulling over the idea of changing that. 2 from the United States and 1 close home in the UK. Now, the language that Joe uses in there is quite interesting. It says 3 groups who are mulling over the idea of changing that, and Chansiri says statement, not there has been no offers at all. So as it stands to me, is not been any concrete offer or any real talk, but there are people interested. Is that your takeaway from that?
Yeah, to an extent, and I think it's a little bit frustrating at times to read the statement, because without wanting to be disrespectful to the chairman, and again, I'm not here blowing an anti-Chansiri trumpet or a pro supporters, I'm trying to be as objective as I possibly can. That statement came out at entirely the wrong time, as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
I thought it was quite. I thought it was quite. What's the word I'm looking for? It was just a strange time to do it, wasn't it? And when he released it, it was almost in response to the negativity that he was seeing. It's almost as if he's gone, right, I've not been on the internet for a week. Let's see what people are saying. I've gone on the internet. People aren't happy with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a statement knowing that this is going to happen. And we may very well get into conversations around what's happening later in the week in terms of the engagement panel. I don't know if it's an appropriate forum tonight, and we haven't discussed it off air, so I'm not going to say that we are going to discuss that or otherwise. But for me, he said a lot in that statement without actually saying anything. And also, he said a lot. He didn't lie, but he didn't tell the truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he said a lot without saying anything.
He's telling the truth. There's been no offer. That doesn't mean there's no interest. You know,
Yeah.
so when he's talking about, am I going to sell or am I not? We can all read between the lines. I genuinely believe at this stage that our chairman would sell the club if he got a figure, and that figure would need to be something that he thinks is commensurate with his valuation of the club. My only concern personally is his valuation of the club a realistic valuation of the club, given that we've got a lot of debt. We've got a lot of things that need to be, T's that need to be crossed and I's that need to be dotted before a consortium or a buyer or anybody that was interested in investing in the club came in and supported or bought the club. However, he's not saying anything in those statements that lead me to believe that he's got any intention of selling the club. He's not said anything that's telling me that he's going to entertain any sort of realistic valuation or realistic offer for the club. So I feel a little bit more frustrated having read it than I did before he wrote it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was more frustrated at the timing rather than the content.
Well, yeah, it was right in the middle of your Easter egg drop.
Yeah, I know. We consider it sod. Well, no, it doesn't. But obviously, the thing is that earlier on in the week, the trust had organised this protest. The turning on the 10/11th minute, and I think he knew that, obviously, and I think they put that out to try and pacify that. But I think a lot of people just saw it as what it was, and he seen through it, and then what he'd said in it was quite a lot of, not a lot, and it didn't really stop what was going to happen, did it?
Didn't really placate anything, did it?
Yeah, that's the word. Thank you, Daniel.
It's all right, mate.
There was a lot of he said, she said stuff, wasn't there? Because like we were saying, there's the issue about, when you read about football takeovers, there's this perception that there is, like, it's all done with NDAs and stuff, isn't it? That's what we've read about. That's what we've seen. Yet he doesn't seem to entertain that. He seems to say, "Oh no, we just make a gentleman's agreement." I mean, come on, you're talking about a club worth X amount of money.
Yeah. I tell you what that reminds me of, right? In an old life, John, I used to book entertainment for cruise ships, right? That was an old job I used to have, and we used to have this guy, and we used to book bands, and they always used to make sure they had enough tracks, make sure they had the dot tracks, the backing tracks. Do they need a back line? Drummers. There's a lot of work goes into it, more than I anticipated. I was in that job for a year, and we used to have a guy who was Kid Creole's percussionist, and he went out on his own and called himself Bongo Eddie. Right now, this guy was what they called old school, and he used to ring me up and he'd go, "Hey Dan," and I'd be like, I think, "All right, Bongo, how's it going?" You know what I mean? That's what I used to call him. And what he wanted to do was get onto the ship, stay for a couple of days longer, and just sort of get the band together and just go, "Hey, look, we can, we don't need all that track nonsense. We could just jam." So what he wanted to do is just sit like, gling, 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 get a few beer skis in and start jamming with the onboard band who worked all day, every day. I don't know when these jam sessions are going to take place, but you kind of go, the world ain't like that anymore, Bongo. And it kind of reminds me of this, you know what I mean? Like we can't just come in and have a spit and a drag and open a case of Carling and sit and go, "Right, how much do you want?" "Well, I don't know what you're offering." You know what I mean? It don't work like that. There needs to be processes. There needs to be lawyers. There needs to be things in place, and not Bongo Eddie. And
I don't. It's easy to say into the I don't personally think that things should be played out in media or on X or Facebook or whatever either. It doesn't matter who you are, and we're not no voice for anybody, are we? We don't say X, Y, or Z. It's not our place to. If people want to, but I don't think it's quite an emotive subject at the moment into the selling of the club, and I think that a lot of people take a lot of what is said online as gospel and get really irate and upset and everything like that. But if it is something that's going on in the background, I care. Of course I care. But if it's going to stop stuff happening, I'd rather it not happen on social media or in the media, should we say. Because
tell me when we're on the vinegar strokes here. You know what I mean? I don't want to know the preamble.
Yeah,
it's exactly that, isn't it? And just a couple of points. There is never, to my knowledge, been a club that has successfully orchestrated a takeover in the way that certain elements, and this isn't a dig at anybody, please don't think it is, the way that certain elements of our fan base seem to be going about it. We're washing our dirty laundry in public. And if I'm a person who can invest in a club and has the means to do so, what I don't want, because I've got a lot of money behind me, I don't want people knowing my business. I don't want people talking about who's interested, who's doing this, who's doing that at this stage. I don't want it to be brought by people on social media, because these people on social media, whilst their intentions are just and good and wholesome, and I understand that people are doing it for the club, and certain people will argue that the reason that I am breaking this news on the internet is because there are a lot of irate fans. The trust is up to 3,000 members, I think it is now, plus.
Great.
There are people, fantastic. They're coming together of all these groups, and without wanting to blow smoke up your arse, mate, the podcast last week was absolutely fantastic, listening to all those people talking. And if everybody's on the same page, that's brilliant. But that doesn't mean that we then have to go, right, every 3 hours, we're going to put something on and we're going to break this news and then we're going to do that and we're going to do the other, because there's a lot of moving components that are going on behind the scenes that are going to impact on things that are happening if we start talking and airing our dirty laundry in public. So let's just, and I know I've got it on good authority. Anybody that's been in and around the person knows that Mr. Chansiri is a person of honour and he wants people to be honest, but he doesn't want people talking about his business in public. So when we are talking about it, you don't want to poke the bear. Is where we're going with it. You don't want to be upsetting somebody that we're trying to be on the right side of. And this isn't me being scared of him and saying that we should be, but it's just saying, look, we've got to do things right. And I think there's a right and wrong way of going about the business that we're going about.
Yeah,
there's a lot to unpick. Ash, get me in some comments and then we'll talk about something nice. This is a difficult topic because bear in mind, as Stevie says, right, these conversations that are happening behind the scenes are important and they need to happen. And I kind of agree with what you're saying, Stevie, that they don't need to be played out over the internet, because it's whipping everybody up into an absolute frenzy. And for the trust to go about it the right way, for the fans to actually do something, I thought was great. That I've never seen that amount of people at Hillsborough united in the same message, which was genuinely impressive to me. I thought it was really good. Let's do some comments, Ash. Let's see what the people are saying.
Izzy Nick on about Chansiri, not you, Dan. He's in a weird bubble where he's not accountable for anything.
That could also be about me, but I agree with you. Yeah, there are very few people in his world that have said no to him in his life.
Yeah. Where's that starred one? So a couple of people in the comments put about the statement and who wrote it. And I think Matt has probably come up with the best comment that we've had. And I think there might be a discussion for next season that we give something away for the best comment of the night or something.
Right.
Because a lot of people use Chat GPT, but not Matt. Matt says that Chansiri used at GPT, which obviously
GPT.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like that. It's good though, isn't it? Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's put Herger McGurgle's comment up, Ash. Let's I don't want to make it all singing and dancing, all the rest of it, but Herger McGurgle's gone with. Yep, he's gone with, I get this argument, of course, but I think 1867 News has helped ratchet up the pressure on Chansiri and has moved things along. I'm sure there's a bit of self-promotion about it all too. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. It has furthered a conversation on it. And I've got no personal axe to grind. Just I feel like now it's got to a certain point, it might be worth winding it in. But they know if those guys are in the know more than we are, then fine. It might be the right way to go. But what does that say? What did that say? Well, I missed that one.
And it's just followed up with saying, unnecessary. Of course, saying.
I think you should say not saying.
Oh, not saying unnecessary. Yeah, trust the things he says all the time.
All right, fair enough. Okay, I thought that was measured. I'll give us that. We were measured, and that's all I want to be. What did I say last week? Let's report.
I want to report the news, not be the news. And I thought that was brilliant, mate.
I'm going to put that in the credits next year. that's what's happening. Let's see what Holly's saying, because I want to read it in her voice. What's she talking about? It's a predicament with the protest being held in the stands, which offers a way to opt out. People have viewed not turning around as an endorsement of Chansiri rather than neutral stance. I agree. There was a really an odd photo of these two people stood facing each other, which is kind of like a difficult watch, isn't it? It's like hard to look at because people didn't want to stand up and get involved in all that. People aren't going. Not everybody's got the same opinion as you, and you can't.
Prime Minister's question time, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't tell people off for going. It's literally a line from Star Wars where they go, "If you're not with me, then you're against me, and only a Sith deals in absolutes." And genuinely, that's all I seem to be able to remember. Just because somebody don't want to stand up and turn around, I get it. That's your knitting. That's fine, bro. That's fine. And what else have we got? Wrap it up, Smash.
Nick SWFC, he 100% agrees with Steve. There is one certain poster on social media and podcasts of late who has cranked up the pressure, but at times I think it can be counterproductive. And that's, exactly what we all said here. It's everyone's got their in the know pals and all that. Oh,
sorry, I know you said last one, do bets. Because I thought that was brilliant. Can I put it up?
Yeah.
So if you weren't aware, the Women's Supporters Group did a first-time fans thing that themselves, EA, and we donated tickets to as well. And so 8 fans got to go to Hillsborough for the first time, which was an outstanding achievement. Fair play to the girls. Really, really well done. Hell of a thing to get together, and big old sponsor as well. And what's she gone with, Ash?
She said, you should have seen me trying to explain to 8 first-time fans what the heck was going on.
Happens all the time, guys. Don't let that put you off. But I need to be very careful here. And it's going to sound like podcast wars, and it's genuinely not. I just want to be measured about it. And look, I think James has planted his flag in a corner that I'm just not ready yet for. And I think I said it last week, and I think I've said it a number of times before. I'm not there yet. And I think I've likened it to before of dropping the L-bomb in a relationship before the other one's ready. I'm just not there yet. But I completely understand the anger towards it, and I completely understand the way some people want to go about it, and I completely understand the people that don't want to go about it at all. So I get it. I get it. Go on, Ash.
And on that, Dan, I think Hergel McGurgle's been back on and just says there's enough bandwagon jumpers to make it good that this is a safe space for all opinions.
It is, and that's perfect. That's perfect.
That's exactly what it is.
I honestly, you can come in here and say what you want. We listen, we don't judge. We report, we don't be, and that's kind of where I want to be. Ashley, do you want to talk about eggs, or shall I go into today's hot topic?
I don't know what the hot topic is. I don't know if I'm going to lose my shit and be miserable or what, but no, go with the hot topic, mate. But that's a great way of just saying, protect your ears, everybody.
Hot topic! Let's keep this very brief as we've not got long left. John, the hot topic this week, and for you, the people out there, get involved and tell me how you feel about it. I want to get some decent comments out of it. The hot topic this week is, will the protest land? I know it's a very, broad question, but I feel like it's a difficult one to have. Do you feel like that would have an impact? It's got in the media that, that when Jim and Rob were first talking about the things that they were doing with 1867, they got the protests in the media, and this one also made the news, and people were talking about it, and we even had Oxford fans at the end of the day saying, "Class fans, class day out. Let's hope your chairman gets lost." You know what I mean? We had that happen. Do you feel, John, that it's going to make a difference internally? The external thing happened. Do you think it's going to make an impact internally?
It's a great question, and one of the things what also kind of like made me think a bit as well is something that Rob Staten said on one of his shows. Would any other club's fans have the lack of success and that we've had and for being out of the Premier League for so long and considered a top 30? You know, these are his words, not mine. You know, it's like a top 30 club that fans that have just suffered the absolute crap that we have over the years. Would any other fan base accept that? You know, would a Villa have accepted that? Would another club? You know, and I think there's some validity to that. I think I don't know whether it's just we've just become institutionalized. We just accept that we are where we are, and that's it. And then, you know, obviously some of us don't, which is why you're seeing what's going on. And I do think it has left a little bit of a mark. You know, we've seen it's got the attention of, you know, it should do. It's the job, obviously, but you know, you like to see your Joe Crans and your Rob Statens, and Alan Biggs has even chimed up, and he hardly ever comes on Twitter these days, does he? So, so I think it's definitely. And then the statement came out as well, didn't it? Just after what had happened as well, close proximity. So it's definitely pricked some ears up, and it's definitely got some momentum behind it. I just wonder if, you know, how I'm interested to see how it progresses now, because there'll always be that fan that just says, well, look, you know, I just want what's best for us. I don't want to make too much fuss. I don't want to slag anybody off. I don't want to argue with my friend who's totally opposite to me. He wants Chansiri gone. He can't stand him. He's not going back until he's gone. There is genuinely fans out there. We even know former podcasters that's not going back until Chansiri's gone. So there's levels of frustration on one end, and then there's and it comes out in that way, and then you get frustration on the other end where they'll privately say, you know, what they want to happen, but they're not going to go and, you know, turn the back or hold a leaflet up or throw a tennis ball on the pitch. But so I think, you know, I'd be interested to see how it goes from now, because I do think it pricks some ears up, and we'll just have to see how it goes from here on in.
It's interesting you mentioned Rob Staten there. I'm going to do it, Stevie. I'm going to have to bring it up because I really made myself laugh with this. If you're not part of our Last Man Standing chat, you need to get involved. We'll be talking about that at the end of the show. And Ash posted in the Rob Staten clip, and I wrote, and I quote, because he goes on, doesn't he, talking about why do fans accept this? And I wrote, we don't accept it. That's why we're also fucking Mardy. We've been turning up for 25 years, crowds in the 20-odd thousands, constant sold-out away tickets, protests planned and carried out. What else is he going to say? Water is also wet. Brace yourselves. Alan Partridge adds content is what I wrote. Like, we are Mardy. What do you mean? Would you accept it? Sure, we're angry. We've been angry for a quarter of a century. What's he talking about? You know what I mean? Where was he 5 years ago trying to get everybody together? Yeah. But no, someone else has done some work online to get everybody together, and now he's like, yeah, I agree. I also agree. Fuck's sake. Go on, Stevie. Have some words.
Big fan of Rob's, aren't you?
Apparently, he loves this show. Apparently, he's not told me that or anything, but I've heard on the grapevine. So
it was our 10-year anniversary of me getting blocked from him the other week.
Not that you're bitter. I'm not blocked.
Keep winning.
Anyway, protest-wise, it's in the national conscience to an extent, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm looking at some of the comments that have come up tonight, and it's been nice to see that people are calling us balanced and suggesting that we offer some sort of constructive viewpoint on both sides. My contribution to this discussion would be to question where we go next with it. We play Middlesbrough. We're not going to turn our backs at Stoke on Friday. We play Middlesbrough on Monday. If things are in a similar situation to where they are now and everything's moving, news has been reported today, things will happen over the next 3-4 days. I've no doubt there'll be further reports coming. And as much jokes aside, as much as I've got respect for all of the broadcasters and all the big the reporters that cover Sheffield Wednesday, the fact that Joe, knowing Joe as we do, has taken to social media to post his article and say that this is interest. I know that Joe and Alex, because they're the two that I read, and it's no disrespect to anybody else, more closely than anybody else, If they're reporting it, it's because they've heard, they've seen, they know things
They've
that
got
are
some
worthy
news.
of
Joe
being,
said it last week, didn't
worthy
he?
of being reported. Yeah,
That's
absolutely
an
that.
excellent point.
Yeah. So if it's now at that level, something's clicking somewhere. And I'm not saying that it's because of this or that. It's because things are happening. I just wonder what happens next. Is there going to be an expectation that on the 10th minute of next Monday's game, people are going to stand and turn their backs again? Is there going to be a procedure where we move on, a progression from that, where something else happens? Whatever that may look like is what it is. But I think if we are now at a point where that protest has happened and people will have their opinions, I think objectively, the question was, will the protest stick? There has to be something else now. And I'm not saying that I'm for or against or whatever. There has to be, for the protest to continue or for it to have an impact, something else has to happen now. Otherwise, what we done it for?
Yeah.
Wrap it up, Ash.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the suggestion of this was turn round. People they did scoff at it and they said, "What's that going to do?" But I think you've seen, if you look around the stadium, that there was quite a lot of people doing it, and it didn't. It didn't affect the players at all, did it? Because they were shit from minute 1. Never mind after minute 11. But yeah, there was something. There was a great deal of people doing it. So yeah, if the trust are going to move on with whatever they want to do, and hot topic is it land? Yes, it's only landed if something else happens. Because, like I think someone put in the chat, they'd rather have saw that protest than the tennis balls. The tennis balls got thrown on, a dozen, however many it was, and the yellow posters, the A4 bits paper, very visual, but it petered out quite quickly, and that is obviously from the 18th.
There's a finance element behind that, like
of
printing
course,
costs and stuff like that, right?
There's all that, and the guys did say themselves they got a pasting from some fans and they weren't happy and all that sort of stuff. But for a protest again, I don't know what the trust's plans are for that, but I'm sure they'll try and get something out that might be something different, that might be another step. Instead of going all out with pitchforks and all that sort of stuff, they'll do something else that's just the next step. And then there's Portsmouth's the last home game, into it, second to last. That might be a bit more stronger, or might have a different element to it. So, but for the hot topic, what you're saying, we don't know until the next game. That's my answer, because we don't do it.
Excellent.
And I don't know what if they're going to do anything about it.
That's an excellent point. So if you're a part of the protesting organising committee, you guys out there, what are we doing next? What's happening next? I feel like that's a pertinent question. I know I've said it in a really flippant way, but I feel like it's pertinent. Are there any extra comments to bash up on today's hot topic?
Craig Haywood's put on 10th, 20th, 30th, 40th minute. Keep it going. Well, hell, you'd get dizzy, wouldn't you?
Put the Bonnie Tyler comment up. You're like, you know what I mean? 10, 20, turn around, and then 20 minutes, turn around, every now and again. Just keep. The other day we were laughing and bantering, weren't we, about playing songs with the term "turn around" in it. You know what I mean? Just play a different one every 10 minutes.
Yeah, I did. I think there was I think the idea was, and it was a bit, like you said, flippant, and because you know what we're like on this podcast, there's a lot of stuff in our that's funny and we try and think, but it was like a match playlist, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it really was. Comment of the night here, John. Chef Cam, YouTube royalty. John, get your camera on landscapes. Doing me nothing. Being portrait on your Todd. I agree.
We didn't want to say anything, but
yeah,
didn't want to say it, but yeah. Also, so right, that was tonight's hot topic. Still in its infancy stages, and I feel like something will land at some point. Whether DC will listen, I feel like you say, Ash, it's based on whatever the next steps are, and I completely agree. I feel like we were balanced there. I felt like that was all right, Ash. Ashley, This is where you talk for a bit. Now, ladies and gents, this is what I call Ash Christmas. Even though it's another religious holiday, what happens is Ash puts himself through inordinate amounts of stress from about the end of January, and I think he's finally just come down, probably about yesterday. So And bear in mind as well, I've not helped him one iota through this entire thing. I've retweeted his tweets. This has all been Ash, and he doesn't think about it. About it enough. So anything that you've got to say about that, what he's about to speak about, it's all Ash. Go on, pal.
Yeah, obviously you've seen us bleat on about it for the last few weeks about our annual Easter egg drop, because that's counts now, doesn't it? Doing the second thing.
We're now, like how many people do you have to murder to be a serial killer? I think it's more than one. So yeah,
we'll have that. And obviously we asked for donations from all the Wednesdayites that could are able to donate an Easter egg. Once again, I said it last year, but you would have seen a very happy fat man cry yesterday at the amount of Easter eggs and the goodwill. And I'll say it, and I'm not one for talking, but meeting everyone at the games has been fantastic. Coming up with all the kind words, everything, all the guys and girls, like we really appreciate it. It was fantastic meeting a lot of you. It was great. It was really eye-opening. So for PACT and the Sheffield Children's Hospital, who are two charities who we were going to donate the eggs to. So it was good. Last game. You want to know, don't you? These guys don't even know how many eggs we connect.
You've not told us. But I've got a visual aid for you, Ash.
Oh yeah.
So there we are. This is a selection of. This is not them all, is it, Ash? This is a selection.
It is. No, that's them all. But it doesn't give them. So the ones on the right hand side are about 5 to 6 deep from the wall. Yeah.
People are buying you crates of eggs now.
Crates of eggs, yeah, crates. Yeah.
Sweet
so
child,
when I was younger, it was crates of Stella, and now it's crates of bloody Easter eggs. So
either way, neither's good for your cholesterol, kids.
It's So I counted them all with the help of my good lady. We've wrapped them all and everything. So the first lot has been delivered today to PACT. So we went there. So the last year it was 659 eggs we managed to collect.
Right.
So from that photo, guys, have you just got a quick? I did put a competition out, so there is a winner. So I have got a winner that I will contact after the show, but there is a winner because I did ask how many eggs people thought was we've been donated. So a little free competition up on the socials. So just have a quick one, guys, before I actually reveal.
Okay, I reckon it's in 770, something like that. 775. I'm going to go with that.
John, Stevie? In the comments, someone quick if you want to get
I'll go 736.
What was last year, Ash? 659?
659.
It's like comic relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ultra optimistic, and I'm going to go 800.
800.
Can you imagine if we've done 800?
Right. I feel like a bit of a drum roll here.
Yeah, I'm annoyed I've not got a graphic ready, actually. I must admit.
Well, Daniel, funny you should say that because I have. Are you ready?
Hang on, we've got some guesses from the online people. If you want to have a look here, we've got
870 from Craig, 813 from Stu. Madward 781.5. Yes, did get a bit hungry.
He knows you.
Yeah, he's met you.
936, 823. Right. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
That's right. 834 eggs.
Wow.
Donated by all you. Well,
wow. So 834. That is an insane amount of chocolate, you absolute crackhead. I question everybody's lips. How did you keep it all from melting in the sun?
Wow.
There were some casualties, weren't
there? We put them under the north stand, so it's all shaded under there. And it didn't collapse on it, so it was good. So 834. So we thank every single one of you. There's been donations from all around the world as well, which has been fantastic. Monetary donations, I went out and bought the eggs, so they didn't get them delivered down. I know I saw you panicking then. But 834. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. It is going to really help lots of children over the coming probably years, all that. Just a shout out, I heard an absolute fantastic story on Saturday from somebody, and I'm not going to repeat anymore because it's making me get emotional, but someone told me a great story about the Easter eggs and stuff, so it was fantastic to hear. So it does make a massive difference to kids. But thank you very much for all of it. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we might do it again next year if this podcast's still going anyway.
Ash, I swear to God, you miserable sod, if you don't do it next year, you'll never smile again, because I've known you for so long. I know how it works. You know what I mean? So listen.
I imagine Ash being like Scrooge, and he gets his eggs right, and he does his final count, chucks Winter up and goes, "You there, boy? What day is it?"
Yeah. Why, it's actually Christmas, sir. Stevie, says something nice about Ash while he gathers his minutes. I mean, this is not just something he stands and puts up a table outside the thing. He does some homework on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I can remember the first one that we did when we started last year. And a quick story: we said if we get anywhere between 50 and 100, we'd be absolutely buzzing. And we did it over 3 games, and I think one of those was a night game, and we were sort of cautiously optimistic. Oh, we might have topped 100 here. And I can remember when I first went down, Ash was really, really nervous. That it wasn't going to land, it wasn't going to take off. And when we went home that Saturday last year, and he sat there, and I can remember him can in hand, and he shared it on the WhatsApp group and went on 650 or whatever the number was, and it absolutely blew us away. I am genuinely emotional. The number we've just clearing 800. I didn't think we'd get 800. I was saying it because I didn't want to split the difference between you two. The fact that we've got to 800, I thought I'll get myself out of the way. I've not even got high enough there. What Ash does is incredible, and we all do.
No, we all do. No. Go on.
Ash, I'm going to mute you, Ash. Shut up.
We all have our part to play, and we all do different things. Dan's the gob. I'm the gambler. Holly's the face. We all contribute different things, but genuinely, all the stuff that we do, the community initiative, which the Last Man Standing feeds into, it's all come from the genesis of an idea that Ash has had. And I genuinely, we say it time after time. We are not, we're not here for profit. We're not here to make money out of the people that are listening and that are watching, that are engaging with us. We're here to bring a community together, and I feel really proud of the part that I've played, but it pales in comparison to the stuff that he does. Right, how are we going to spend this money? We are going to spend this money by buying tickets, by donating, by getting shirts, by spending hours at a time going shopping, delivering things, picking things up, transporting it around. We're not all doing that. Yeah, every now and again I'll offer to help out, or Simon will offer to help out. Holly donated the suits, the bear and the bunny, but it all comes from one person. Yeah, absolutely. Cocaine Bear and Donnie Darko.
I'm quite easily swayed. So Mad Ward's just said, "Do it. We want 1,000."
There you are, sold.
There we go.
Anyway, move on. Thank you very much, everyone.
Listen, also Ash, on top as well, we did the Women's Supporters Group First Gamers that we mentioned earlier on. Did you buy shirts as well as tickets?
So we did, with the help of all you guys. We donated 4 tickets to the Women's First Fans. Absolutely fantastic thing. I hope they do it again. And then we also donated little goodie bags with shirt and an Easter egg and some little Haribos in there as well. So
I had no idea you did that until I read it on a post. You soppy bastard! I can't.
Right, we're half price. We're half price.
I thought, yeah. Now everything fits. Stevie, talk about some gambling.
Yeah, I've got to follow that by saying, give us some money, please.
Give some money so we can buy more shirts for kids. It's for kids.
But kids, I'm going to whack this up. So over the weekend, our Last Man Standing went to the wire with Anne Barker and Chris Hopkins back in Brighton and Arsenal. Between them, neither team won, which meant that the prize of Last Man Standing 6, which was £497, has rolled over. Now, part of the rollover process means that everybody that has played is eligible to buy back in over the last 48 hours in between counting eggs. Ash has been collecting money from those people that have already paid their £10 entry fee. We are opening it up, and again, I'm at pains to add that this is not an obligation. We're not saying that you must do this. If you want to get involved in buying and contributing to our Last Man Standing initiative, and you have not done it before, it does cost a little bit more. It is £20, but as it stands at the moment, the prize will be anywhere between £6 and £6.50. I would have thought £650 opportunity to get involved in the game. That's a loose estimation based on the entry fees, the entries that have come back in, and the fact that we're going to have a buyback on Monday when 15 people go out, which is what normally happens. Beyond the game itself, the community is great. A lot of the guys that comment on our YouTube, X, Facebook feeds on a Monday night are involved in that WhatsApp. They keep it going. I will come away from a long day at work to 750 messages. It's a good-natured sort of community to get involved in. If you're interested, all the details will be on our socials after we've announced the Easter egg drop over the next couple of days. The only thing that I will add is that you need to get your money in by Thursday, because the game starts Thursday night.
So there you go. Get yourselves involved. It sounds like a whopping prize draw. Listen, John, Ash is going to speak again for another 5 minutes. I just thought I'd say hello because I've just realised they've both got their initiatives. Yeah, I just thought, how are you getting on, John? You all right? I noticed you've gone on Landscape. Everything all right?
Yeah, got Landscape. Battery's about to die, so if it goes, it goes. But yeah, all two good causes there. Enjoy listening to it. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up then, Ash. It's the big moment, isn't it?
It is. So yeah, we've announced how many eggs and everything. So for everyone that donated, if they wanted to, not everyone did, put their names on a piece of paper, and they get a chance to win a £75 voucher. So look here, look at this, look in true 90s, 80s stroke like game show. I've got them all fanned out there. Look, and they are actually look with the club. Look.
Do you remember? I don't know if anyone remembers this. Do you remember ever opening a TV magazine? Now, kids, back in the olden days, used to have a magazine that told us what was on the telly. And before the olden days, you used to have one magazine for BBC only channels, and we had to have another magazine to tell us what was on ITV and Channel 4. But there was always a picture of Carol Smiley sat on a chest, like a dead man's chest, holding £20 notes. I don't know what she was having, but that's what that reminds me of right now.
The Saturday TV guide, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So in here, in my Liam Palmer signed bucket hat there, well, it's not mine, it's the lads. There's all the names in there, look. So I'm going to pick one out, and whoever wins a £75 voucher. These little bad boys. So
actual vouchers.
No, look, nothing in the hand already. There you go, look. And all these names will get destroyed, GDRP and all that, whatever it is.
We're so professional.
I know, look, it's there. So I'll give it a good scroll. We need some music.
That's pretty
The winner is at Chansera.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Right,
go on, Ash. What we got?
That bloody would happen, wouldn't it?
Can you not read your own handwriting?
T Goldip. Oh, I've got his number there. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't do that. Sorry, Terry. Or whoever. T Goldip.
T Goldip. So if you're the winner, if that's your thing, we'll reach out to us on one of the social medias and we will get right in touch. Spell out the surname for me, Ash, or has he got his contact details on there?
It's got his contact. So it's T GoulDip. It looks like. So it could be a doctor. So
could be. Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations. You have won £75. And if I get them to you as quick as possible, it'll still be half price, I think. I don't know where
Get in. That's if you want to spend your money at the club shop, or you can, throw them into the Dom like Leonardo DiCaprio does with $10 bills in Wolf of Wall Street, just to go, I don't care about this. Depending on what side of the fence you're on, it's entirely up to yourself. Listen, John, Stevie, Ash, it's been an absolute pleasure this evening. I've had a great time. I was in a foul mood when we started this, and upbeat Ash has absolutely rescued me. I must admit, look at him. He's got his crazy ears on. It's all happening. Thank you again for you lot listening and watching out live. I really appreciate it. And let's hope, here's to being measured. Here's to being, splinters on our ass, apparently. So listen, thanks a lot. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week.
Bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday Week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast